What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and I just basically have to catch up with you guys because I haven't been keeping up very well with WWE last week as a series. Couple of reasons for that. I have been sick. Don't worry, it wasn't the vid, but I didn't have a voice. Anybody that heard my my attempt at a review of the movie Scream 6 would know that my voice was literally falling out of my throat while I tried to do that. Scream 6, Cole's Notes version, really good, go see it. If you like the Scream movies, go see Scream 6. But other than that, and the preview for, what the heck was that, Roadblock for NXT, I haven't come up and done a lot of this. You've seen a lot of shorts from me from the shows that I've been at and whatever, but here's the thing, haven't done WWE last week for a couple of weeks. We're in Mania season. The easiest way to play catch up with you guys is just to do what it says on the tin, do what it's going to say in the video and podcast description. It's like, hey, here's what we know about WrestleMania weekend and Stand and Deliver weekend so far. As a framework, that works. As a content creator, it's like the easiest way for me to attack this. But I do want to say, part of the reason that I haven't been up here as much as I would like to is A, I was sick. B, I'm also bouncing around a lot. A lot of movies I want to go see. I want to cover that for the movie portion of stuff. But also, Toronto is the GTA, because I don't technically live in Toronto. It's really the place for wrestling right now, or at least the wrestling that I watch. I'll be careful the way I say that. But most recently we had the Road to WrestleMania tour that came to the Coca-Cola Coliseum. That gave us the rematch of Sami and Roman. That was a lot of fun. We didn't get the Bray Wyatt Lights Out match because I don't know what's going on with Bray Wyatt right now. I don't want to speculate. But instead we got LA Knight taking on Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens called him a wannabe Rock and then beat him with the rock bottom in the people's elbow. It was a lot of fun. You guys know I'm still going to the Destiny shows. If you guys have been watching any of my shorts, any of my clips, anything like that, you will have known that I went to Destiny's Haywire show this past weekend. Devon Dudley was there. His kids were there wrestling in the tag team tournament. Trent Seven was there. Dirty Dango was there. Our true champion, Aiden Prince, was there, crutches and all. Well, the man who would be champion, our interim champion, Steve Macklin, defended against Trent Seven. That was a lot of fun as well. Also, they've got another show coming up in May. Destiny is presenting Icons 3. The first Icons show that I went to, I think, was the show that introduced me to Marty Scurll, so take from that what you will. So far for that show, we know we're getting the Bullet Club, Killer Kelly, and Zachary Wentz are all already signed for that show. I'm also going to the Impact Rebellion show. I'm also going to SmackDown in Toronto when it comes back in August. And yes, if you've been paying attention to the news this week, AEW is doing another tour through Toronto. I mean, they did Dynamite in Winnipeg last night. It was a meh show, but Toronto is actually getting Forbidden Door 2. I will be going there if the tickets aren't fucking ridiculous, because that seems like it would be a lot of fun as well. I've never seen a whole lot of like New Japan stuff at all, let alone in person, so that would be a lot of fun. Plus, like, with all of my absolutely justifiable problems with AEW right now, there's a lot of AEW wrestlers that I would like to see, and the more I look back on it, the Dynamite that I missed the last time they were here because the tickets were stupidly expensive, I do kind of regret not seeing that. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So if I'm and I'm not fully over being sick yet either. So if I miss something, or if I miss a preview or a review or whatever, going into WrestleMania, we're going to get all the reviews and previews and all that type of stuff back on the tick. But if I miss something, it's A, because I'm still getting over being sick, or B, because I am going out and about to a bunch of things. Lots of more movies. I'm probably going to see 65 this weekend. You guys know. If you don't know, go back on the pod. I did a trailer reaction for 65. Long story short, Adam Driver gets so lost in space he goes back in time and thinks he's discovered aliens, but they're dinosaurs. That's exactly up my street. I still want to know if there is a way that I can stream or download the movie The Park, because that's another one that I did a trailer reaction for, but I can't find it anywhere, and there's no theatrical listings for it. Now, with all that waffle being done, the one thing I do want to touch on before we get into WrestleMania season is what's happening after WrestleMania season. You got to think about the day after. CM Punk was absolutely right. Okay, you beat me at WrestleMania, and then what do I do the next day? So, the next 3 shows are international shows, which is not a big deal. WWE is an international company, even though most people don't want to give them that credit. But Triple H said, after the very successful Clash at the Castle show, in the press conference, press scrum, I think that's the new keyword we like to use now, he said he wanted to do a whole lot more stuff outside of the typical areas. So the announcement came out that Backlash is, first of all, Backlash is Backlash. It's not WrestleMania Backlash anymore, which is good for a start. It's still gold to match the WrestleMania gold logo, so I think that's kind of funny. But May 6th, in Puerto Rico, hosted by Bad Bunny, we are getting Backlash. So they haven't been in Puerto Rico since, I want to say, New Year's Revolution 2005? Somebody's going to correct me down in the box below. That's absolutely fine. We got okay, this is the fun one. This is one I'm going to have a little bit of fun with. It's in Saudi Arabia. If you've been listening to me for this long and you don't know that I separate the politics of what's happening in that country with the quality of the show that they give us on the night, then you just haven't been paying attention. I understand there are valid conversations to be had about the political side of it, the international side of it, but also they give us gigantic, ridiculous shows. So I'm going to enjoy the show while acknowledging the other stuff. Fair? Good? Do we have a deal? Let's move on. It's the King and Queen of the Ring, which is what they did a while ago when they did the King of the Ring and the Queen's Crown. I think it's very cool. I hope that they do. I hope the whole show is just the 2 tournaments and nothing else. I really do. And I know that sounds stupid. You're going to, not represent your champions and you're not going to get the biggest names on there and whatever. But if you're going to have King and Queen of the Ring, you have to make the whole show about King and Queen of the Ring, in my opinion. That's happening in Saudi Arabia. The other fun thing about this, Jesus Christ, I really try, because I don't cover AEW much anymore, I'm trying to not be quiet about what I think of AEW, because you guys know what I think about AEW. They do a lot of stupid shit. The Bucks and Kenny Omega can go fuck themselves. They really fucked over CM Punk. And there's a bunch of other things that I could just say that are just not great. But the fans of AEW that are crying once again because King and Queen of the Ring is happening Saturday afternoon, and Double or Nothing, which will probably be really great. It looks like we're getting the 4 pillars for the AEW Championship, which I don't mind. That's a great match. That's happening the Sunday night. You've got a show happening on the Saturday afternoon and a show happening on the Sunday night, and you already have people crying counter-programming. Eat a dick. I'm gonna do the old Walter Matthau quote here. Do yourself a favor, pull your lip over your head, and swallow. It's fine. King and Queen of the Ring is happening May 27th. So we get Backlash and King and Queen of the Ring in Saudi Arabia on, what is it? May 27th. So maybe we might see a couple matches on Backlash that are the kickoff of those 2 tournaments. I wouldn't mind that either. One short span pay-per-view to pay-per-view could have some interesting things. And then getting back into the general swing of things, London, England, July 1st, Money in the Bank is coming to London, England. That's awesome. That's absolutely fucking awesome. As somebody who is a big avid fan of What Culture, except for Michael Sidgwick because he's a twat, those guys are all going to be there. We're going to get a whole lot of live content from them. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to enhance my viewing experience, selfishly. We don't come back to mainland USA for a pay-per-view until August, because Detroit, Michigan is hosting SummerSlam. Okay, so we've got from the beginning of April to the beginning of August, where they're all happening everywhere else. Oh, Triple H hasn't kept any of his promises. He hasn't gotten anything up off the ground, except Clash was awesome, and you finally got King and Queen of the Ring, and Puerto Rico is getting a pay-per-view for the first time in like 20-something years. And London, England is getting a proper show, and it's going to be an early days show. I'm not going to lie. I might be one of the few people on this planet, whether it's the Saudi Arabia show, whether it was the shows that they did in Australia, whether it was Clash at the Castle, whether it's Money in the Bank in London, I don't mind the earlier shows. I really don't. It definitely means changing your day around, but you're talking about countries who, if their pay-per-view screws up your day, imagine how screwed up their days are every other pay-per-view of the year. It looks good. And that's not including, obviously, anything that NXT does. I hope NXT has some more pay-per-views before SummerSlam. Obviously, we're getting Stand and Deliver, which we're going to talk about in a second. But yeah, if we go from then till SummerSlam, I mean, I know the old pattern was they paired up the takeovers with the big four pay-per-views. I understand that. I get it. But if they're going to try and make a go out of getting it back out on the road and back out into arenas again, then do more. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm standing up for the American audience, because first of all, they don't need that, and second of all, I'm not American. But if you've got a good string of shows here that are taking place, offshore, so to speak, NXT might be, as far as WWE content, an NXT pay-per-view might be the only game in town, and might get them some unintentional, fan flux, if that makes any sense at all. So the calendar for the next little while, really interesting, and I'm sorry, even as a TV watcher, just seeing it at a different time in some place new, it's different, and it's a sensory thing for people watching at home, but obviously as well, we found out during COVID that crowds make the difference. And if you're going back to Puerto Rico, Saudi Arabia, London, England, to places that haven't had a pay-per-view, like I say, in the case of Puerto Rico, in almost 20 years, those fans are going to be rabid, and that's going to help your TV watching experience. So big, no surprise to anybody, I'm sure, but once again, I tip my hat off my bald, shiny head to Papa H. So, switching gears now, what happens before WrestleMania? What happens before Stand and Deliver? It's the Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame, we know two names so far. Great Muta is getting inducted. I won't say too much about that, not out of disrespect, only because I'm not personally well versed on Great Muta's career. I would say go to What Culture, go to a guy like Greg Morgan, Good Mic Work, who would probably have well more to say about that than I would. I think the fact that people are actually upset that Ric Flair is inducting him are insane. I mean, Ric Flair's going to be around for WrestleMania anyway. His daughter is hopefully in one of the main events, so he's going to be there. The fact that he's inducting somebody that he apparently has all this history with, and who also had history with his late son, it works, it fits, it does whatever you want to say that it does. Now, the other one that's been announced so far, I should say the first one that was announced, was Rey Mysterio. Now, there's a couple different things I could say here. Obviously well-deserved. Obviously, this is one of those ones that's kind of unquestionable. Why is Rey Mysterio going into the Hall of Fame? Because it's fucking Rey Mysterio. You guys know me. It's very, very similar to the Cody thing when we get talking about WrestleMania. I can't not acknowledge the impact that Rey Mysterio has had on wrestling. Biggest little man and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it is a cliche marketing tool that they use to sell a DVD, but it's also true. Contributed a lot. His longevity speaks for itself. I can't pretend that this is going to be one of my highlights of the weekend. I've never been a Rey guy. He's had matches that I've liked. The stuff that's going on right now with the Judgment Day, I enjoy. The Dominic Mysterio stuff is fucking fantastic. Never been a Rey guy. No problem with him going in the Hall of Fame. Yes, I have my own list of people that I think should be in there. The people that are out there with their pitchforks and torches on behalf of Victoria, I am absolutely with you on that one. Rey going in, yeah, sure, it suits, it fits. It's awesome. He's going to be inducted by Conan. It's going to be really cool to see Conan as somebody that caught sort of the latter days of WCW before it died, and then saw the Three Live Crew in the good days of TNA rather. It'll be cool to see Conan again. That'll be interesting. The rumor that I've heard from a lot of places is that, okay, so lost my train of thought there for a second. Ric Flair inducting the Great Muta, Conan inducting Rey Mysterio. The third rumor, and the inductee themselves and the inductor are both a rumor at this point, but apparently Mick Foley is coming to induct Stacy Keibler. I don't have a problem with that in the slightest. Stacy Keibler was fucking awesome. Mick Foley, I'm sorry, Mick Foley can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's got a couple weird takes online, not gonna lie, but Mick Foley is one of those guys. I am a Mick Foley guy, along with everything that I just said about Ray. You can't question his career and all that kind of thing. So, Hall of Fame, so far. The other rumor is Batista, but then again, going along with that is the rumor that he's putting up reasons to not be inducted. I know he wasn't inducted during the COVID Hall of Fames, and I can't exactly blame him for that. Whatever his reasons are now are his reasons. So that's all we know for the Hall of Fame right now. What else do we not quite know just yet? We know that Ray and Dominic is going to be a match at WrestleMania. I've heard a lot of people say that they'll go along and not announce this match, and then something will happen at the Hall of Fame and it'll be like a see you tomorrow night type thing. I don't mind that, because we all know that the match is happening. You don't need to have the big announcement on SmackDown that it's happening, because we know it's happening. So do it at the Hall of Fame. They're already playing up on the Hall of Fame. You know, congrats on going into the Hall of Fame. You know, you got it from like basically abandoning your family. I think that would be a really cool. That would be a really cool thing. I wish that the Hall of Fame wasn't just this thing that they were tacking on the end of SmackDown. That's kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. Ray Dom is pretty much confirmed, except it's not. We know we're getting the Usos versus Sami and KO. They just haven't gotten to that part of the story yet. What I find interesting, and yes, I'm a Miz guy, I find it interesting not so much that he's been announced as the host of WrestleMania, but that more than one person now has hinted at him having a co-host. Now, there was a rumor that LA Knight was going to have an exhibition match with Stone Cold Steve Austin, but now the rumor is Stone Cold Steve Austin has turned down an opportunity to show up at WrestleMania. So, if we have a situation where The Miz comes out to host WrestleMania, gets attacked by LA Knight, and LA Knight takes over the hosting duties for the rest of the weekend, I think that would be fucking awesome. I think you do that at the beginning of night one, and before the main event of night two, you see The Miz come back and they have an impromptu match. Boom. Gangbusters. Love the whole fucking thing. For those of you that haven't seen me on Twitter recently, I've gone with the AEW 4 Pillars thing, right? AEW 4 Pillars. MJF, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara. Can't argue with any of those. They're all fantastic. AEW is lucky to have them. Back in the day, back in the good day, the good black and gold day of NXT, when they had that awesome 4-way Iron Man match on NXT with the pillars of NXT. I said it back then, I'll say it now. Gargano, Ciampa, Balor, Cole. Those are your pillars there. What are your pillars in WWE? The Miz, LA Knight, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller. Come argue and prove yourself wrong. That's all I gotta say about that. So, that's all the hypothetical stuff. That's all the stuff we think is coming. But now, before we get to WrestleMania, we gotta talk about Stand and Deliver. Now, Pretty Deadly are hosting that. At some point, I'm assuming they're just gonna get their asses kicked by Gallus, because that's what we do. The North American Championship is awesome. Wes Lee has been doing the, the typical mid-card open challenge thing every week, all that kind of thing. And NXT has actually solved a big problem that I used to have with the open challenges, and everybody has said some version of this at some point. Why is the person doing the open challenge ever, waiting for somebody to answer? If there's a starving group of people in the back that don't have anything to do, why is there not a rush for the door? Why is there not a rush for the quote-unquote gorilla position? And they've done that. They've shown people fighting their way to the ring to get that shot. Now, it didn't happen this week because it ended up with a big brawl, and it ended up encompassing the Dragunov McDonough situation as well. Now, I will say, as a quick aside, Dragunov McDonough in some kind of street fight stipulation should be added to Stand and Deliver. I don't think that's happening just yet, but I think it should. Now, what they did, Shawn Michaels went to check on Wes Lee because he was mauled by 15 people. He says, "Give me 10. I don't care. Give me 10 of them at Stand and Deliver. I'll take them all on." And Shawn Michaels is like, "Well, how about I give you half of that? You can have a 5-way. You can choose your 4 challengers." Fantastic. Now, if I was to say, if they don't give us Dragunov and McDonough in a singles match, what I would say is have Wes Lee, because the idea of the champion picking his challengers is really awesome. Because if you're a heel, you would go with the biggest dorks in the back. But if you're a babyface, you want the best challenges possible. What I would do, Nathan Frazier and him had an awesome match a couple weeks ago. Bring him in, have him be kind of pissed off that McDonough and Dragunov ruined his open challenge, so have him throw those two in, and have Dragon Lee. Have Wes Lee, Dragon Lee, they could be brothers, ha ha ha. Dragunov, McDonough, and Nathan Frazier in a 5-way for the North America Championship. That would be fucking awesome. But all we know for now is that it's a 5-way match, and Wes Lee is one of the competitors. Much like with the women's title situation, we had the great match a couple weeks ago between Roxanne Perez and Meiko Satomura, where she pushed herself to her limit. She got the win over Meiko Satomura. There was all kinds of respect, whatever, and then she collapsed after the match. Now, this was meant to be a mirror to something that Shawn Michaels did back in like '95. I'm not gonna lie, I don't recall that particular scenario off the top of my head. Thank you to awesome people like Michael Hamflett of What Culture for explaining that on one of their podcasts. Go check them out; they're way better than I am. But apparently, this has been done to cover up for an actual legitimate something that she's got going on. I don't want to speculate on that, because once you get into people's personal issues, it is what it is. In the meantime, there is a women's ladder match, because of course there's a ladder match. It's fucking Shawn Michaels' brand now. Love a ladder match. It's fine. It's good. Don't worry about it. It's going to be 4, though. Now, I find that interesting, and I don't know why I find this so interesting. We've seen ladder matches one-on-one. We've seen ladder matches triple threat, and then we've seen, like, way ridiculously large, like, Money in the Bank ladder matches that are, like, 7, 8, 9 people. 4 is a very interesting number, and we only know 2 of the competitors so far. Gigi Dolan qualified this past week, and also Zoe Stark beat Sol Ruca. I really like Sol Ruca. Not that I don't like Zoe Stark, but I really would have liked to see Sol Ruca because of her weird acrobatic shit, what she could have done in a ladder match. Don't know who the other 2 are going to be. Maybe Sol Ruca gets her way back in and have the last one be Cora Jade. Cora Jade's awesome, and she's kind of fallen by the wayside. Women's ladder match for the Women's Championship. Now, I'm not going to speculate on anything else other than hope Roxanne Perez is okay, and if her having to drop the title here means we hotshot her to the main roster after WrestleMania, that's not going to hurt my feelings either. Fallon Henley and Kiana James have their whatever soap opera story with Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen. It's amusing enough. I don't think they need to be women's tag champions to keep that story going, I'm not going to lie. So it definitely didn't break my heart when the new #1 contenders, you know me, you know I like my fucked up shit, you know I like my spooky, my supernatural, my ooky spooky stuff. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are going for those titles, and they're gonna fucking win. Oh, yes. And then we get to the actual 2 main events. Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker is the most obvious main event match that they could possibly do for NXT, because I like NXT. There's a lot of really, really underrated wrestling going on in NXT, but there's also a lot of silly, stupid shit. I want... the other thing that was hinted at, and I didn't mention it here because I didn't write it down, apparently Tony D'Angelo and Stax want to put themselves in the tag team title scene. Fucking get in. But Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker are... They're 2 guys, out of anybody else on that brand, they're 2 guys that are way overdue for a call-up. They're the only ones that could have this match. I'm sorry, I've been singing the praises of Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker for a long time. Now, I've been saying, put them up on the main roster, give them a rematch against guys like Ricochet, give them a rematch against guys like Solo Sikoa, throw them in the tag team scene. Imagine, like, 3-4 months from now, you've got Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams taking on Sammy and KO for those tag titles. It's not that out of the realm of possibility. And I mean, just on the other side of the coin, get Carmelo Hayes in there with somebody like Braun Strowman, and I'm just gonna have a good time. Carmelo Hayes versus Finn Balor. Carmelo Hayes versus Seth Rollins. Carmelo Hayes versus what's his name? AJ Styles, when AJ Styles comes back. Carmelo Hayes versus Austin Theory, if you want to lean him a little bit more babyface. Carmelo Hayes versus Walter. Do it the fuck up. And also, on the other side of the coin is Braun Breaker, who I've gone back and forth between thinking is awesome and thinking is a bit cheesy, going a little bit too like Steiner throwback, but then he always, whenever I start thinking that, he always brings it back around to getting me back on board again. So it's all good. And the way that they're building this like really intense, respectful competition thing between the two of them, like, hey man, no disrespect, but I'm going to kick your head off. Okay, no disrespect, but I'm going to kick your head off. The way that they had to do something in the contract signing, so they put Pretty Deadly through the tables, because Pretty Deadly are the hosts, so they hosted the contract signing. I'm doing air quotes like you guys can see me, which is ridiculous. And then the match that I called. The match that I called when Grayson Waller started fucking with Shawn Michaels, in amongst the rumors of Dragon Lee coming to NXT and when's he going to make his debut and all that, I said there's 3 chances, there's 3 opportunities here. I really want to see what Grayson Waller versus Shawn Michaels would look like. If they want to go the other way and have something that doesn't really have a story at all, but it's a really cool way to introduce Dragon Lee, then yeah, Dragon Lee and Grayson Waller can just go out there and Grayson Waller can be awesome. And me, speaking for myself alone, can see Dragon Lee for the first time against somebody that I'm already invested in, which will get me invested in Dragon Lee. The third option, the option that made the most sense, the guy that super buddies and super looks up to Shawn Michaels and was kicked out of NXT by Grayson Waller, is the guy that actually has the match, and it's Johnny Gargano, and that's fucking awesome. It's fucking awesome for 2 reasons. It's fucking awesome because it's a match I want to see. It's fucking awesome because storyline-wise, it makes sense in like 3 or 4 different ways. And it's fucking awesome because it saves Johnny Gargano from his main roster doldrums, because he didn't have a match at WrestleMania at all. Excuse me. I'm really looking forward to this. It's one of those ones where I'm going to say it could be the main event because of the quality and the story and all that type of thing, but don't do the proper traditional, put the title in the main event. It's only the second time they've been in an arena since COVID, so show this audience what NXT can do. Give them the title match with Carmelo and Breakker, and I think it was Carmelo that mentioned in the contract signing that this, between the two of them, this is the youngest title match in WrestleMania weekend history. It was worded kind of odd, but you get where they're coming. They're 2 young guys. They're the 2 youngest combined guys to fight for a title WrestleMania weekend. That puts a different kind of magnifying glass on the weight that's on their shoulders, and I think they did it really, really well. And I don't think, here's the thing, Braun Breakker turning heel at the last minute wouldn't make any sense, and Carmelo can play the heel, but nobody's going to boo him. So they had to go this sort of like begrudging respect route, and it doesn't exactly not work. Let's just say that. Stand and Deliver, so far, I mean, we got a lot of gaps to fill in. We got a lot of stories to wrap up before we get there, but already it's looking like it's going to be a fun midday show to get us ready for night 1 of WrestleMania. The only match actually classified for night 1 is Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul. That was established a couple weeks ago on Miz TV because they wanted to fight, and Seth Rollins is, standing up for the wrestlers against this intruder, which is... They haven't put too much into that because they've basically come out and said, yeah, this is the story we're telling. You guys know this story. We've done this before. But we can do it because we're great. Logan Paul has a certain kind of charisma. Seth Rollins has a certain kind of charisma. But he can go out there and be as wacky as you like and still be believable when he says he's defending WWE against... or either defending WWE or defending pro wrestling against this outside, usurper type thing. Athletically, this could be the match of the night, potentially, depending on what else goes on night 1. The last thing we all saw from Logan Paul was the really nonsensical, but also awesome spot that him and Ricochet did at the Rumble. He surprised everybody with that match. What was it? It was in Saudi Arabia against Roman Reigns. That whole match where you knew he wasn't going to win, but he had everybody hooked anyway. I expect ridiculousness out of this. I love the Seth Rollins Joker parody thing that they're doing. They're doing all the Hollywood parodies leading up to Hollywood WrestleMania again. I think it's fucking awesome. The Bianca Belair and Montez Ford one is cringy as shit. I will say the Miz and Maurice one isn't that great either. Their Top Gun parody isn't that great either. But I will say, Seth Rollins doing the Joker thing, tap dancing down the steps with the mask and all that. Or, sorry, not with the mask, with the face paint and all that kind of thing. And most recently, this week, Rhea Ripley doing her own play on Eleven from Stranger Things was fucking awesome. I don't care. Give me the ridiculous shit. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else I can say about Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. The only comparison I'm going to make is Cody Rhodes goes back to the Rey Mysterio stuff I said before. I'm not a Cody Rhodes guy either. I think there's way more story in what we had from Sami and Roman at Elimination Chamber than there is going into this. People like this because they like Cody Rhodes and they want good things for Cody Rhodes. They don't like this because Cody Rhodes has had anything to do with the 2-year-long bloodline arc. And that's fine. If you want to say, I like this match because I like this guy and I want good things for this guy, that is completely valid. And I'm not going to take that away from you at all. It's not my place to do so. But don't tell me that you like it because it's the best story. Because it's not. The best story is either SummerSlam or WrestleMania next year when Roman Reigns comes back from a well-deserved vacation and gets his head taken off by Jay. Because as we all know, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, the bloodline is the Jey Uso story. Moving swiftly on. That's segregated over into night 2. Seth Rollins, Logan Paul is night 1 because apparently night 1 of WrestleMania is also Logan Paul's birthday. I love the arrogance of put me on night 1 because it's my birthday. I hope they actually lace that into the story because that's awesome. The only match designated for night 2 so far is Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Please just make it 1 belt. Now, the match that should be announced for night 1, because it should be the main event, because it was decided by the Royal fucking Rumble, and it's the better champion, should be Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, but that's going to be a lot of fun. At some point, I know we're not going to see Rey lay his hands on Dominic until WrestleMania, so we're going to have to get a surrogate in the form of somebody like Santos Escobar. I need a mixed tag of Dominic and Rhea Ripley taking on Charlotte Flair and Santos Escobar in a mixed tag. Because it'll be great. Because I want to see Charlotte... Okay, as much as I love Dominic, I love everything Dominic is doing right now. But because he's so great, Charlotte Flair being in the ring with him and being able to slap the living shit out of him will be mega cathartic. Mega cathartic. It should be the main event for night 2. People don't want it to be the main event for night 2 because they hate Charlotte Flair. Why do they hate Charlotte Flair? Because how dare she be white, blonde, successful, and have an unpopular dad? You people are strange. Now, let's go on to the other side of the coin where Asuka is fucking awesome. I love this new version of her. I never saw her wrestle in Japan. Apparently what she's doing now is much like the Kana character that she did in Japan. Either way, I like it. All the people that don't like paranormal, spooky stuff or crying about it, that's fine, whatever. Asuka's awesome. She can do whatever the fuck she wants. And I hope what she wants is saving the friggin' Women's Raw Championship from the stale doldrum that is Bianca Belair's waist right now. Again, I have to repeat myself. I'm not saying Bianca Belair is a bad wrestler. I'm not saying she's not a good athlete. I'm really not. Oh, she's great. She's got the hair gimmick, which breaks all the logic of wrestling because you shouldn't be able to hold a weapon in your hand and use it in a match without getting disqualified. Okay, yay, she makes all of her own ring gear. Making your own ring gear does not make for a good match, and it doesn't make a stale title run not a stale title run. That's all I've got. Asuka needs to save that belt. And I mean, in all fairness, I like Charlotte Flair, but Rhea Ripley needs to get that belt off of Charlotte Flair. Because nobody's going to have any love for that belt as long as Charlotte has it. Because, as we've already established, people are quite strange. Brock Lesnar versus Omos is 2 bulls running into each other. And when Brock Lesnar manages to hit the F5 on Omos, it's going to look really funny. Gunther is defending not the United States Championship. We'll get to that in a second. He's defending the Intercontinental Championship against either, at this point, because SmackDown hasn't happened yet, either Sheamus or Drew, which is going to be Sheamus and Drew, because there's going to be shenanigans on Friday, and we're going to get that triple threat match. I'm not going to lie, this won't make me very popular. I know it was a really, really beloved match that happened last year at Clash at the Castle between Sheamus and Gunther. It was a fantastic match, but it's a match we've seen. And Drew McIntyre deserves the world for carrying the WWE title through COVID when there was nobody there to cheer for him at the dead, like, fucking Performance Center funeral Royal Rumble. Give me Drew McIntyre versus Gunther one-on-one. If Sheamus is in the match as well, I'm not going to hate it. I really won't. I promise. I'd much rather see Drew McIntyre go up against Gunther. I'm not necessarily even saying that he's going to win, but a lot of people want Gunther in the main title picture, and Drew McIntyre ain't getting in the main title picture anytime soon, so give him the IC title. If Gunther drops the title and moves on, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus can continue brawling. Give me all the Sheamus and Drew McIntyre brawls after WrestleMania over that title. Get two characters that are quite over fighting over that belt after the prestige that Gunther has already put on it. Let Gunther go up and say, hey, I was in the Rumble like 30 times as long as you were, Cody. Let me slap your tit off because you broke your titty bone. It's fine. It's probably going to be a triple threat match. Everybody is assuming it's going to be a triple threat match. People were chanting triple threat match last week. It's probably going to be a triple threat match. I think I prefer the Drew and Gunther one-on-one. There's Survivor Series lore behind that as well, if you recall. Austin Theory versus John Cena is going to be fucking awesome. Either Cena puts over Theory and Theory keeps the belt, or in my personal fantasy booking, if you go back a couple of pods, I would say have John Cena beat Austin Theory for the United States Championship, show up on Raw the next night, do his own open challenge, and drop that belt to Damian Priest. Either Austin Theory just beat John Cena for that belt, and here's the prize, or Damian Priest, who has no match lined up for WrestleMania, gets to say, hey, you know, next best thing, the Raw after WrestleMania, even though it's not really a thing anymore. Raw after WrestleMania surprises. I just beat John Cena for this belt. Good stuff, good time. I made sure his title reign didn't put that on the second night so that Damian Priest can say, in my fantasy booking, can say, I made sure he didn't even hold that belt 24 hours. That's really cool. Match that I'm looking forward to, but it didn't quite come down the way I wanted it to. It's Trish Lita and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control. I really hoped that they would have separated these two out and just given us the tag title rematch and then Trish Stratus versus Bayley as a separate match, because Trish Stratus versus Bayley is a big match. I think they're kind of sleeping on what a big match that is. And Becky Lynch and Lita as a tag team, I really like. So to keep the scales kind of balanced, keep the titles on Lita and Becky a little bit longer, but have Bayley go over Trish Stratus, you really could have told some cool stories there. Also, a lot of people are spitting the idea that Trish Stratus is going to turn on Lita and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. I think that's a really muddy idea, and I don't know if it would work. Not going to lie. And what am I looking forward to? We got it just this week. Fucking Edge versus Finn Balor. So this is where I go back to my Damian Priest thing, because Rhea Ripley has a match at WrestleMania that should be a main event. Finn Balor has a match that is main event level with Edge and the stipulation involved. Dominic has the match with Rey on the same weekend that he's going into the Hall of Fame, so that's a huge deal. That's why I keep hitting on Damian Priest needs something for WrestleMania, because he's the only one in the Judgment Day that doesn't have a match. Kind of like Solo Sikoa is the only one in the Bloodline that, if we get all the other matches we think we're getting, isn't going to have a match at WrestleMania. So just, for no reason at all, just have Solo Sikoa versus Damian Priest at WrestleMania. Throw it on the kickoff. I don't really care, but don't have these two guys that have been fucking awesome for at least the past year not have anything to do at WrestleMania. But Edge versus Finn Balor, is it going to be ridiculous? Yes. Is it going to be Edge in all his excesses? Yes. Is it going to be Finn Balor and the Judgment Day in all their excesses? Yes. I want this match to be as over the top as possible. I want, like, you know, 80s rocker dad Edge coming out on his ridiculous fucking throne. I want the cage to be purple, but then Edge sets it on fire. And what I want most of all, I want whatever the ridiculous, sarcastic, banter version of the demon that we're going to get from Judgment Day. I want ridiculous, banter, purple, Judgment Demon Finn Balor. And I don't know what that looks like. And that makes me smile. You can probably hear it in my voice. This match is going to be the most, you know, for people that don't like NXT for whatever reason, this is going to be the most stare at your hands. What have I become? I'm so gritty. I'm so goth. I don't care. All those things that you people that are wrong think are wrong, that are actually right, all of them are going to happen in this match. I'm so looking forward to this. I wish it was for a title. I wish it was the main event of WrestleMania. Because there's so much. This is the thing. This match can be ridiculous. Everybody loves the Judgment Day. Everybody loves Finn Balor. Everybody at least loves or respects Edge. Hell in the Cell has been taken out of its own pay-per-view and put back on a proper big WrestleMania stage, so it actually means something. This match can be ridiculous as it wants to be. It's the polar opposite of Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is coming to the apex of this entire Bloodline saga, the Bloodline story, whatever. This is, you know, that is cinema. That's the stuff that people are accusing of saying, like, oh, it should have an Oscar, except if it was getting an Oscar, he'd probably get punched by Will Smith. It's fine. That has to be amazing. That has to be 5 stars. That has to be 6 stars in the Tokyo Dome, brother. That has to be a textbook of wrestling storytelling. Edge versus Finn Balor, or the Rated R Superstar versus the Banter Demon in Hell in the Cell, can be all the ridiculousness that the actual main events can't be. And I'm putting the pitch out there right now. This is going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be the best match of the night. I am saying right now, this will probably be my favorite match of the night. Potentially the whole weekend. And consider how much wrestling is happening that weekend. We've got Impact versus New Japan in the Multiverse Assembled, Worlds Collide, whatever thing they're doing. That's on the Thursday. Friday, we've got SmackDown, we've got the Hall of Fame, and I guess ROH are doing a show, whatever, I don't really care. Stand and Deliver, night 1 of WrestleMania, night 2 of WrestleMania, and the Raw after WrestleMania. That's a ridiculous amount of wrestling. And what I am saying to you right now, and I'm waiting, I am queuing up, as this goes live, I'm looking at my comment section for you guys to all be wrong by telling me I'm wrong. Edge Finn Balor is going to be the best match of WrestleMania weekend. Sorry, it just is. That's where I'm sitting at this point. I think we're all caught up at this point. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Tell me what you think of the new pay-per-view schedule, about WWE doing more international stuff. Let me know what you think about the Hall of Fame. Let me know what you think of Stand and Deliver so far. Let me know what you think about WrestleMania so far. Tell me I'm right. Tell me Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley should main event night 1, because they should. And I'm going to stop now, because my voice hurts, because I'm not quite done being sick yet. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all of these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.